Assalamu alaikum. This is Halima, and welcome to another episode of Oraan Podcast. We are here to talk about different and difficult conversations around money, especially with women. And today we have Maya Malik, who heads customer experience at Oraan, to talk about relationship with money and just give tips and tricks around how to manage money better. Thank you so much, Maya, for being on this podcast with us today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here.
How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. Always good to be on Oraan Podcasts.
That's great. So Maya, like you as somebody who is a millennial, and you've gone through different experiences in life, like how has your relationship with money changed?
It's been evolving, I would say. So when I got my first job in my early 20s, उस वक्त एकदम से पहली दफ़ा ज़िंदगी में पैसे आए, right? And पहला सोच ये था कि इनको तो सबको खर्चना है, you know, because all of a sudden you are making money and it's all yours, and all of a sudden you have the independence to go and like just spend it wherever you want. You don't have to ask your parents anymore. I think that was the first sort of milestone कि अब अम्मी अब्बू से नहीं पूछना, अब तो मेरे पास पैसे हैं, अब मैं जो है इंडिपेंडेंट भी हो गई हूँ. एंड उसी हाइप में आके सारे पैसे 15 तारीख तक ख़त्म हो जाते थे.
Absolutely.
एंड दैट वाज रियली लाइक आफ्टर पहला मंथ गुजरा, दूसरा गुजरा, तीसरा गुजरा. And then it really became like I started thinking about it and I realized, okay, we're doing it all wrong.
Yeah.
Right? And I went back and I started thinking about how do my parents do this, and how did my grandparents do this. And overall what's happened is when you talk about millennials is that if I compare myself to my grandparents, their approach has always been saving.
Yeah.
Saving first.
Yeah.
Save every penny.
Yeah.
इतना तक के हमें घर में एक पॉपुलर चीज़ ये होती है, लाइट बंद कर दो, पंखा बंद करो, एक कमरे में आप AC एक टाइम पे खुलेगा, AC सब शेयर करेंगे, और वो एक अप्रोच है. अच्छा, दूसरी अप्रोच उनकी ये भी थी कि ज़्यादा बाहर जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, पैसे बचाओ, जो चीज़ आप बाहर से खा सकते हो वो आप घर पे करो. ये अप्रोच के साथ मेरे ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स ने हमें रेज़ किया. पेरेंट्स में आके ये थोड़ा सा कम हो गया. उन्होंने कहा चलो हम हफ्ते में एक आउटिंग तो करेंगे ही करेंगे, और हम जो है क्या नाम है थोड़ा बहुत वो स्पेंड करते थे. लेकिन उनकी भी लाइफ में मैंने देखा कि उन्होंने भी सबसे पहले उन्होंने अपने गोल्स सेट किए हुए थे कि अभी हमारे जो है हम अभी हमारे ये टारगेट्स हैं जो हमने अचीव करने हैं, तो वो उसकी तरफ पहले हम सेव करेंगे और फिर जो बच जाता है उसके साथ हम एंटरटेनमेंट करेंगे. मिलेनियल्स में ये चीज़ कम होना शुरू हुई, क्योंकि ऑल ऑफ अ सडन मिलेनियल्स ने कहा हम तो ये भी लेना चाहते हैं, ये भी करना चाहते हैं. सो देयर इज़ अ लॉट ऑफ डिस्ट्रैक्शन एंड आई थिंक इट्स गेटिंग वर्स विद Gen Z, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I think these conversations are so important, because we really have to look back at how our grandparents used to do it, and their biggest priority was to save.
Yeah.
And save every single, like from every small little thing that you can do. Another thing that I learned and I realized was that they weren't just saving in bank accounts.
Yeah.
They were saving in saving certificates.
Yeah. बैंक अकाउंट्स तो वैसे भी उस वक्त इतना ज़्यादा कॉन्सेप्ट
भी नहीं था. एंड वो मतलब बट जो भी उनकी सेविंग होती थी या वो घर में तिजोरी में होती थी, और जो जैसे मेरे जो ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स थे उनका तो एक हर मंथली विजिट होता था नेशनल सेविंग सेंटर पे, और जो भी बचता था वो जाके उधर सर्टिफिकेट खरीद लेते थे. एंड दैट कॉन्सेप्ट फैसिनेटेड मी. Because I realized that what you can do is you can put money aside into something that is a secure investment, and you can spend the return that you make on it.
Absolutely.
And that is the principle that I am trying to follow. I'm not the best at it, but I'm trying to follow. Is that what I if I have a goal that I want to be able to achieve, like I want to buy something nice, I want to buy a straightener, for example, right? Let me put that money somewhere. Let me put my savings somewhere that is going to give me some return.
Yeah.
Okay? It's going to make me feel a little bit better कि अच्छा ठीक है कि मुझे मेरा straightener 20,000 का और मैंने over time 10-15,000 return में बना लिए हैं, तो मेरा वो I have made money from my money.
But what you're talking about is then also having that patience to not immediately buy something. Absolutely. Right?
And that is the key, because we are there is so many distractions around
Yeah.
us in terms of spending, and one has to really really prioritize and really really think about, okay, what is the most important thing for me to buy today,
Yeah.
and what is the most important thing for me to buy maybe 6 months down the line.
Is that something that you learn? Like, is that something that you were equipped with, or you started learning
I
as you
learned it.
started earning money?
Yes, I learned it as I went along in my career, because I realized that living from paycheck to paycheck makes me feel insecure.
And why does that feeling come through? Like, what is that insecurity around?
Because the minute something goes wrong, say I my phone got bust, now I don't have the money to repair it. Something like is not working, and immediately I need something, or unforeseen expense has come up. I don't have I work so hard, I earn money, but I don't save it, and I don't think about these things, and then I'm going back to feeling as I was never working at all.
Yeah.
Or I didn't earn this money.
Absolutely. I think I feel I have similar kind of insecurities around not having enough money, right? Like, and that obsession around saving is, as we grow older, is getting slightly out of hand for me, I can say, at least.
Which is not a bad thing.
Which is not a bad thing,
Yeah.
but also I think it also puts that slightly irresponsible behavior के मैं मुझे डर लगता है बिल्स पे करते हुए भी. ओ अगर क्रेडिट कार्ड का बिल है या फोन का बिल है या whatever it is, it's that क्यों पैसे देने हैं. And I think that's part and parcel of facing the reality of how to manage money better.
Absolutely. It is part and parcel of that. Secondly, I think the most important thing is, so what I do every month is that I have an Excel sheet, and it has all my expenses, fixed expenses, which I cannot exit at all. Those are things that I have.
How did you come up with this Excel sheet? First of all, let's talk about that.
Okay, so let me talk. So when I went for my masters, of course, that is actually where I really learned about holding on to money. Initially, again, I was like, I have this money, I can spend this money, and I realized that, oh my God, now if I spend all my money, there is nobody there to support me.
Absolutely.
So what I used to do is that I had a diary, okay, and उस diary पे I had decided कि मेरा weekly spend कितना है, ठीक है,
Okay.
and I had a diary, and मैं हर रोज diary के end पे अपनी bank statement से tally करके देखती थी कि मैंने आज इस दिन कितना खर्च कर लिया.
That's quite a lot of discipline, I must say.
Yeah. So then what happened is कि if I had spent more in week 1 in that week, so week 2 means eat cheaper food.
Yeah.
But if I had managed to save more, then I'm happy. I can go out, I can spend on something. And really, at that point, it was really about, so during my exams, obviously, I wasn't going out, I wasn't doing anything, saved more money.
Yeah.
I got a phone for myself.
Yeah.
And that's how I used to. So because I was keeping a tab of where my money is going, I was able to figure out कि how much do I have in place कि maybe अगर मैं इधर से थोड़ा सा और बचा लूँ तो मैं वो जाके extra चीज़ खरीद सकती हूँ.
Yeah.
So as weird as that is, at that time I was a college student, so my priorities were always save money to spend, right?
Money, yeah.
But now, as I went along with it, it's more about save money to invest, because as you grow older and older, your expenses are going to keep increasing.
Yeah.
There is no state in life where you're going to get older and your expenses will decrease. Maybe by retirement that will happen. But in order to be secure by that time, because you're not earning anymore, you need to really plan from today.
And when you talk about planning from today, like, are you thinking about more just retirement, or is it कि मेरे 3 साल के भी गोल हैं, 5 साल के भी गोल हैं, 6 महीने की भी goal है, and like how is that working out in terms of
I would say that I definitely think about all of these things and I
Yeah.
plan. A lot of things might not go as planned, but just making sure that I have some things in sight, I'm able to stick to that,
Yeah.
right? And that enables me to not spend my entire
Yeah.
paycheck. That enables me to put my money aside, and I'm also very sort of motivated to get if I invest my money somewhere, it's actually nice to see it grow.
Yeah.
And that is something that makes me happy, that okay, I made something
Yeah.
from money.
But when you talk about investment, right? Like there's this whole um, process or like thinking around कि मैं investment करूँगी तो मैं foreign returns देखना शुरू करूँगी. Right? And I think that is obviously a myth.
Yeah.
Investment, especially if you want to do slightly less risky investment, requires a lot of patience.
Yes, absolutely.
And did you go in with that knowledge कि मैं हर चीज अगर मैं इन्वेस्टमेंट करूंगी तो मैं फौरन अमीर हो जाऊंगी, मैं अपनी वेल्थ बना
I
लूंगी?
wish कोई मुझे उस वक्त बता देता, because at that point मैंने कहा ये क्या है, ये तो कुछ ग्रो ही नहीं कर रहा. Like पहली दफ़ा मैंने जब सेविंग्स अकाउंट खोला था, and
When was that though?
That was I was in my university.
Okay.
So
That's very impressive.
That was my second semester. My father made me do it.
Okay.
And he said that me and my sister, he said, you girls must have a savings account. And then he gave us some money to put in that savings. Very small amount.
Yeah.
I think it was like 20,000 rupees at
Yeah.
that point. And so that 20,000 rupees, because it was a savings account, what happened was that it started incurring a return.
Yeah.
And after some time, I was like, okay, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is money I haven't touched, and now I'm making more money off of it. So I put more money into that,
Yeah.
and that return was really small. I think at that point I had gotten a bit greedy, that jaldi se or multiply
Yeah,
or multiply. But it's really about understanding the type of investment you want to go for, what suits you, and it's also about देखिए कुछ investment होगी जो आपको long term के लिए करनी है. That can be something that's a little high risk, or it can be something that's low liquidity. But that means is that you can put it into a savings certificate that's locked, or term deposit that's locked for like 4 or 5 years, because you don't have to take it out immediately.
Can you explain liquidity a little bit?
It's very simply put, how quickly can you turn your investment into cash?
Okay.
So the idea is how quickly can it turn into cash,
Yeah.
right? That's liquidity.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't think about it, but जब हमें पैसे की ज़रूरत होती है, हमें कैश की ज़रूरत होती है on a day to day basis, which means कि हमारे पैसे हम ऐसी जगह पे हों जो कि हाई लिक्विड है. फॉर एग्जांपल हमारे बैंक अकाउंट में पड़े हुए हैं, क्योंकि हम उसको फ़ौरन ATM से निकाल सकते हैं.
बैंक अकाउंट करंट में पड़े होने चाहिए, सेविंग्स में
होने चाहिए. 100%. When I say bank account, I mean savings account.
So you are completely opposed to the idea of current account? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not opposed to the idea of current account. I think I would. So I used to have this trick back in college days, is that that bank actually allowed me to transfer from my savings to current account immediately, which you can do right now as well, right? So the weekly expense would come into my I would transfer that amount into my current account, because that was linked to my debit card, and everything else was in my savings account.
Okay, that's a very smart trick.
So that I don't spend it, right? And I remember one day I was in a shop and I had to buy something, and the internet wasn't working, and I couldn't transfer from my savings to my current account. I didn't buy it was a pair of shoes. But in retrospect, it was a good decision, because it's okay, I saved money.
Yeah. What did you do for, like, when you got your first paycheck? Do you remember what you did with it?
Yeah, I spent it pretty much in 15 days. I went out. Yeah, and I bought something, but I gave a little bit of it to my mother.
Okay.
First paycheck went to my mother as
well. But how does that, from earning your first paycheck to having a career post that, how has your relationship with money evolved?
It's evolved in the sense, I think that from being somebody who was always sort of spending, I have become more conservative in my spending, and more planned about my spending, and more excited about saving, and starting thinking about like how can I use my savings and my investments to feel more secure, because at the end of the day, the feeling of making money is coming from you putting hard work into
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah.
Like you work hard to get your paycheck, right? And
Yeah.
it for that to make sense for you, and for that to make you feel good, you should be feeling secure. And that can only happen when you have savings.
Yeah. When we talk about savings, like um, people immediately think savings as investments, and that's not necessarily true, right? Like
Yeah.
there needs to be a savings fund, and there needs to
Yes.
be some form and shape of investments.
Yes.
How do you think around that, in terms of like कितना amount savings में जाएगा, कितना amount investment में जाएगा, या कितना amount उस spending में जाएगा?
I think it comes with a lot of financial discipline. The rule is, which I wish I had followed a long time ago, is that the younger you are, more amount should go to your investments. So say you can, you should be saving and investing plus should be at least 40% of your income, right? Or if more is better, because आपके वो जो fixed expenses है वो इतने ज़्यादा नहीं होते उस वक्त, right? So जितना आप कर सकते हैं आप उनको करें.
One of the things that we constantly keep on hearing is, and I think this is more of a global phenomenon as well now, that women are not as comfortable talking about money.
Yes, absolutely.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's a mixture of a few things. एक तो there's fear. Fear around having these conversations, because money is meant to be a very private matter, and women think about their finances very privately, and they also don't want to experiment, or actually they think of anything that is not conventional as an experiment.
Yeah.
सो अगर वो सेविंग अकाउंट में पैसे डाल रही हैं जबकि उनकी पूरी फैमिली ने करंट अकाउंट में डाले हैं, तो वो उनके लिए एक नया टेरिटरी है जिस पे वो वैसे ही हेजिटेट करती हैं. और ओवर टाइम ये अप्रोच थोड़ी सी चेंज हुई है, लेकिन आई थिंक ये एक सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है कि हम लोग कन्वेंशनल अप्रोच पे चलते हैं और हम कुछ नया ट्राई करने से डरते हैं, स्पेशली पैसों के मामले में.
Yeah, but I think the problem is deeper, right? Or the problem is around के हमने allow is a bad word here, but we've not created enough conversations around money for women to then be comfortable
And
speaking about it and then taking that action.
And institutional support.
Absolutely.
So अगर आपकी जो है like economy में वैसे ही आपको फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूट्स में जगह नहीं मिलती, क्योंकि अगर आपने बैंक अकाउंट खोलना है तो उसके लिए भी आपको इतने हर्डल्स फेस करने पड़ते हैं, तो आपके पास वो अवेयरनेस है ही नहीं, वो सपोर्ट है ही नहीं. आप किस बैंकर को फ़ोन करके समझेंगे कि ये क्या है, वो क्या है वो, और इस पूरे टॉपिक के बारे में आपकी फैमिली में भी कोई बात नहीं करता, आपके इर्द गिर्द भी कोई बात नहीं करता. द ओनली पीपल दैट टॉक अबाउट इट आर men, and they don't normally include females in this conversation.
You actually brought up something very interesting, where your father was the one who encouraged you to open up a savings account, right? Usually that's not the case. औरतों को और बच्चों को भी हम at a very early stage, money is not something that we talk about, and money is not something that is talked about openly in household.
Yes.
Was that the case, given that your father was more pro in like, hey, no, everybody, like my girls should have a savings account, but were there conversations around management of money in the household?
There were conversations around management of money, more so with my grandparents than with my parents, because I think parents का और especially fathers का ये भी होता है कि they want to make sure कि our kids never have to worry about money.
Yeah.
So
like
they have
added pressure.
They have that's an added pressure on them, and so they have that approach, and so they don't. I think that could be a reason कि वो ये क्वेश्चन नहीं करते। लेकिन ऑफ कोर्स मेरे पेरेंट्स ने हमेशा मुझे पॉकेट मनी दी, उस पे मुझे बोला कि इसको सेव करो, यू नो लाइक फिक्स्ड पॉकेट मनी थी। एक दफ़ा मुझे याद है कि मैंने जब ज़्यादा कुछ पॉकेट मनी मांगी तो अब्बू ने मुझे कहा कि मैं दे तो सकता हूँ लेकिन मैं अपने बच्चों को स्पॉइल नहीं करना चाहता, सो मैं नहीं दूंगा। सो यू नो लाइक दैट काइंड ऑफ he's inculcated that कि जो मिलेगा वो फिक्स्ड में मिलेगा, एंड नाउ यू फिगर आउट हाउ यू वांट टू गो अबाउट इट। बट विद माई ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स ये मेरी बहुत ज़्यादा कॉन्वर्सेशंस रही हैं। ये एक एडवांटेज था बिकॉज आई वॉज ऑल्सो लिविंग विद दैम। तो उन्होंने जो मुझे एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ बताई, वो ये बताई कि मेरे ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स ने अपनी सारी सेविंग्स, अपने पूरे करियर की सेविंग सर्टिफिकेट में डाल दी।
ओके।
और उससे की बेसिस पे एक तो ऑफ कोर्स उनको पेंशन आती है, बट उसकी बेसिस पे उनको इतना रिटर्न आता है कि अब उनको कोई काम करने की ज़रूरत नहीं।
And they're independent and
Yes, they work their lives for their home, and of course they get the pension. But they worked towards building a big amount of saving, which they kept putting in certificates, and they eventually invested it in a saving certificate, which is I think the Behbood certificate, which gives them enough to be able to sustain themselves.
and that's actually a really good
Yeah.
savings instrument which not a lot of people know about.
Absolutely.
And I think there's been a lot of pressure on the economy as well to save more money rather
Yes.
than consume. I think this is a great time to be thinking about putting money in saving certificate. One last question that I would ask you is around why would, like in your experiences, how do you think women can get better with money?
I think that don't be afraid to ask any question. I think women are also afraid. They think कि हम सवाल पूछेंगे थोड़ा हम dumb तो नहीं sound करेंगे. So what?
Yeah.
If you sound dumb, it's fine. Yeah, you know, not everybody has this information, and people learn these things, and they learn by getting educated or getting a financial degree or talking to other people. Ask the most basic question. Ask whatever question comes into your mind, and don't think any question is too dumb or too, like, you know, small, because the fact of the matter is that the more information you can gather, the more conversations you can have around it, the more aware you'll become.
Yeah.
So take up that approach for yourself. Ke I will go and find out and discover how can I better manage my money.
Yeah. And also like we at Oraan are creating those kind of spaces.
Yes.
For people to be able to have those conversations and those difficult conversations around money, and also learn
Yes.
learn with being a little experimental, and asking for your right around money, because financial independence, as things get more and more expensive,
Yeah.
the importance of management of money and the importance of being able to save is going to increase.
Absolutely, definitely, and this learn. There's a lot of places to learn.
Yeah.
And you can also learn from other people who've done it well.
Yeah.
You know, always
Grandmother,
grandmothers, and people around you, and never be afraid. Honestly, my biggest, I think the biggest thing that I've noticed over time working with different women from different places is that there was this fear to ask questions.
Yeah.
And there was this sort of, the term I also want to say is there was this there was no relationship कि ये पैसे जो हैं ये मैं भी संभाल सकती हूँ.
Confidence नहीं.
ये there's no confidence.
Yeah.
और वो confidence होना चाहिए.
And which is funny because majority of women, especially in South Asian countries, वो अपने घर का चीफ वेज अर्नर नहीं होंगी, बट अपने घर का खर्चा खुद उठाएंगी और खुद मैनेज करेंगी.
Absolutely.
So I think it's about time that we shift these conversations and give that agency and authority and awareness to women and men, to be able to manage their money better.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having this conversation with us, Maya. This was absolutely phenomenal. I'm sure you guys learned a lot. If you guys have any comments or you would like to see more tips and tricks or know how to manage your money better, please leave some comments and we will get back to you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Maya.